dog owners out there. It's Riz. I am really excited because today I am sharing something very special that I prepared for all of you. It is the Puppy Survival Guide. And I really felt that you all deserve this because there's a lot of information in there that I definitely wish I had known when I got my first puppy. It covers a lot of things that I don't find in other puppy survival guides. And overall, I have looked at a lot of other puppy survival guides and they're all pretty wordy and they're not very to the point or interesting. So I really tried to put a lot of my own kind of aesthetic into this and be very direct and simple. And I hope you enjoy it and find it very helpful. So you can find this resource on my website. It's www.HeyRis.com. There's going to be a link for it down in the bio, along with some other links that we will see later on in this video. The survival guide has about 6-ish topics or chapters, we'll say. And so today we're going to talk about the first chapter. So let me just do this. Ha! Okay, so this is the first puppy survival guide. It's really important to lay down a good foundation of your parenting habits because a lot of your parenting habits can actually prevent so many behavioral problems more than training. A lot of dog trainers, we focus on training the dog, and my primary focus is training you. Let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about, up here at the top, life-saving tips. And I actually had a couple that just came into my head that aren't on there, so I'm going to add those in after the video, but I'll talk about them today. And then we're going to talk about nighttime routines, crate and potty training, they kind of go hand in hand, feeding and poops, playtime, correction, a message to the kids if you have kids in the house, and then templates and charts, which are resources that you can use to stay organized along all of these chapters here. The first in life-saving tips. So the first thing that I definitely recommend is keeping your puppy on a leash all the time, except when they're in the crate. But besides that, pretty much 24/7. Let it just drag behind them when they're walking in the house. Get them used to having it there. You don't have to necessarily be walking with them or pulling on them or anything like that. Just let them be comfortable with its presence in their life. And this is really helpful because the less attention we bring to the leash by saying like, oh, it's time for the leash, then they're going to make a bigger deal out of it. So if you just put it on them nonchalantly, let them do their thing and play around and whatever, then they learn that this thing dragging behind them is not really a bother. It's not threatening. It's not a difference in their life, which is really what we want them to have in experience with the leash. If this is your first time ever presenting a collar or leash to your puppy, just take it slow. Don't just grab your puppy and wrangle them around to put the collar on. Present it to them, lay it in front of them, let them smell it or bite it, whatever. Give them a couple minutes to get used to it, and then slowly put it on them, give them a treat, reward them for being a good dog, and then do the same with the leash. And if they start to kind of pull around and wiggle and because they're uncomfortable, just let it be. Get them distracted with something else. Get out a toy. And if they begin to chew the leash a lot, I've had multiple dogs chew through multiple leashes. So what you do with that, instead of pulling away the leash saying, no, don't chew on that, dogs are attracted to motion. So if you pull away the leash, we're making it move. It looks more interesting. They're more wanting to bite it. So instead, grab something that they can chew on, grab a toy, move that in front of them, make the toy more interesting, and then once they leave the leash and grab the toy, reward them for chewing on the toy because they're a good dog. And you can keep repeating that until they realize that chewing on the leash is really not that cool. So leaving them on the leash has a couple of different benefits. Well, the first one is that you can stop them from getting into trouble. Then you are present to reward them for their spontaneous good behaviors. And we'll talk about that later on, but it's really important to notice those behaviors and to reward them throughout the day, at least for the first month. So the last thing about leashes is that I highly recommend a rope leash as opposed to the retractable ones. This is a lot easier for you. You'll have a lot more control when you're walking them and in training. And overall, they're just a lot easier to manage. Okay, so the next tip is to share the puppy care. And this is kind of a self-explanatory one, but puppies are a lot of work, and it's not always easy to do everything yourself. Before you get your puppy, or in the first week you have your puppy, sit down with everybody that's in the household and kind of share like what your responsibilities are. Make sure you have a communication plan set in or a chart set up or something to help you guys stay on top of sharing the responsibilities. Because if you try to do it all yourself, you're probably going to just get tired and cranky, and that's not really good for anybody. This here is just a side note. It's not necessarily a tip, but just be aware that your dog is going through a lot in the first days that it's at your house. I know that you are probably super excited and wanting to share them with all your friends and show them off and take them out, but just understand that your puppy is going through a lot. They really miss their mom and their brothers and sisters, and they're not used to all the new smells and the noises, and it's kind of scary for them. Just keep that in mind so that you can have a little bit of gentleness towards them. You know, don't be so expecting them to do so much in those first couple of days. Don't expect them to be super, super playful or outgoing, curious, things like that, because they're still a little timid trying to understand where they are. One way that you can comfort your puppy when they're sleeping is hold them up to your chest like this with their head up here. And here you can just watch a movie, you can read a book, sing a song, whatever it is you like to do. And they enjoy this because of your warmth, and they can hear your heartbeat. And you'll notice your pup falling right to sleep when he hears it, when he hears your heartbeat. One thing that I really find important is using a snuggle puppy. A snuggle puppy is a stuffed animal, basically, and it has a heating pack and a battery heartbeat inside of it. You can put that in their crate, so it'll help them sleep through the night. And I've used this with the last 2 of my dogs, and I've noticed a huge difference, and I recommend it to all dog owners. I also have a link for that down in my bio, or in the description below. Alright, so these are the 2 tips that aren't in the survival guide yet, but they will be added in shortly after this video is posted. I just remembered them as I was introducing myself right now, so I want to make sure that I don't forget them. The first tip is that you shouldn't talk too much to your puppy. Let me repeat it. Don't talk too much to your dog. And what I mean by that is when you are teaching your dog their name or doing any training, or you're just spending time with them, don't just blabber on with repeating their name, repeating the command, or changing the command. So if you say down, you don't want to say, puppy, lie down. Puppy, puppy, can you hear me? Puppy, get down there. Come on, just a little bit, lie down just a little, come on, you can do it, right? So all of that, what I just said, can be just puppy down, because they heard you. They have good hearing. You repeating it, it's not making them hear it any better. It's actually weakening what you're saying. Have you ever tried to learn a foreign language? And when you first hear that language and people are talking really fast, it just sounds like blah, 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 blah. Right? You can't understand anything. But if you just learn one word and then you listen to people's conversation, you can pick up that one word because you learned it. So it's the same thing with puppies. If you want them to learn their name, you got to keep it simple. Don't keep repeating words and phrases and changing it up. Just say their name. And if they don't respond to you, you don't keep repeating their name. So if we keep saying puppy, 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 and they keep not responding to us, then they just learn that that's just kind of a background white noise, and we don't want that to happen. We want our words to hold weight to them. And for words to hold weight, you can't talk too much, right? I guess it's kind of like in life. All right, so the second tip that is not on the survival guide but will be shortly is that you don't chase your puppy. A lot of times when we're playing with our puppy, we do a lot of tag type game. You always want to be the one running away from your dog as opposed to being the one chasing your dog. And this is because you don't want your dog to get into the habit of running away from you, because it's going to happen one day when you actually need to get your dog and you start to walk towards them, and then they'll start to run away from you because they think it's a fun game. And this can be easily prevented if from the very beginning you don't chase after your dog as a form of play. You always be the one to run away and have them chase you. All right, so the next thing, this is the last page for this video here. Here we've got keep multiple baggies of kibble around the house. When you have your puppy, normally they won't be having access to the entire house for a while, but in the area where they're at, keep at least 4 bags of kibble everywhere. So have one in your pocket, one by the windowsill, one on the kitchen counter. And this is helpful because we're going to be talking about SMART training, which is rewarding the dog for their spontaneous good behaviors. We didn't necessarily say lie down, but they just happened to lie down and we reward them for that. It's important to have these baggies of kibble around because you'll notice that there's a lot of moments when you really need to reward your dog for something, but you don't have any food in your hands. Then all of a sudden you lost your currency, right? The food is what's important. If you have it around everywhere, it's super helpful for you. Follow through with what you say. I always recommend just grabbing some of their kibble that you use to feed them their regular meals as opposed to giving them treats all day long. It's just a healthier option, especially when they're younger. We're going to be doing a lot of training and a lot of rewarding. When puppies are really young, they can't regulate their body temperature very well and they can get overheated easily. This is important to know, especially if you have your puppy in the summer season. They will get overheated very quickly and they need a lot of water to keep them cool. The first sign of overheating is vomiting. So if you find your dog getting really quiet all of a sudden and then getting sick, just bring them inside, get them some water and let them rest. This is really important. And dogs that are also have very thick coats will also get overheated pretty much for the rest of their lives. So you just really need to be careful, but especially when they're young. Puppies go to the bathroom a lot, and we want to try and have the least amount of potty accidents inside the house as possible. Puppies will need to go to the bathroom about every 25 to 30 minutes. My life-saving tip for you is to set an alarm on your phone. This is important because it's too easy for time to get by us, and by the time we notice, oh shoot, our dog needs to go to the bathroom, they've already gone. Set an alarm. It's super helpful. You'll save yourself a lot of unnecessary potty accidents inside the house. And the next tip is to make a schedule for the puppy. It's not good for them to decide when they want to go out, when they shouldn't go out, when they want to play, when they don't want to play, because then they're the ones dictating the day, and they're the ones telling you what they want all day long. And that's not how it works. You are the one to dictate the day. You are the owner, and you tell them what the schedule is, and then they learn to follow that. And it's not, any sort of like controlling or mean way. It's actually really healthy and it gives them a sense of security and stability. At the end of this survival guide, you'll see a lot of schedule templates, different things that you can do to put into your puppy's schedule to build a rhythm for them in the day. And it's easier for you too because then you know what's coming up and what's expected and your puppy's behaviors kind of follow along with the schedule pattern. And so it just makes both of your lives easier and better. So the last thing that we are going to be talking about is fear periods. Now, dogs will go through 2 fear periods in their life as they go towards adulthood, and they're totally normal. Every dog goes through them. And what you need to know about fear periods is that they're phases that the puppy goes through where they're absorbing a lot more information. Their minds are more sponge-like and they're a lot more sensitive to their surroundings, particularly traumatic events. In these times, we really want to avoid any sort of big changes or scary events, new things, and things like that, because it'll have a lifelong impact on the puppy. We really want to be mindful of when these fear periods are coming and what to do about them. They last about 2 to 3 weeks normally. So the first fear period you probably will get when you first get your puppy, and it happens typically between the age of 8 to 11 weeks. The second fear period, it happens a little bit more sporadically between 6 and 14 months. And I'm going to do a whole series on fear periods and what to look out for if your puppy is starting to go through one and what to do about that and how you can help them and support them through that. So that they have a smooth experience and that it doesn't leave any long-term effect on their behavior. Okay guys, that is all for today. We talked about all of the different life-saving tips that I have for you when you get your first puppy. If you have any questions, please just comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or you can email me. You can reach me easily through my website. Again, it's HeyRis.com. And if you go through there, you'll find a lot of other resources, and you could read my blog and find a lot of information and answers for you. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for the next video.